Gingerbread Man Down, Clean Up on Aisle podcast.
You are listening to Clean Up on Aisle podcast, the dirty truth about grocery stores. I'm your host, Jef Harmatz, with your other host, Adam Fligsten. Hello, Adam.
Hello, Jeff. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And we are joined by Tucker Stone. Hello, Tucker.
Hello. Hello, Adam. Hello, Jeff.
We are retaking that intro. We had some spilling issues.
Yeah, that really derailed the whole normal flow of things.
I think it's not a podcast unless something gets fucked up and there's a spill or whatever.
Have either one of you actually been in a grocery store when there's been spillage? Have you been there when like somebody's been like, "Oh, we've got a spill"?
I think so, maybe, but not in a while.
I've spilled in grocery stores.
What have you spilled?
Knocking stuff over all the time.
I have seen the marinara sauce broken glass. I've seen that. You know, it's like when you see a banana peel on the ground, like on the sidewalk, and you're like, "Oh, this is actually a thing that happens sometimes." But yeah,
It's a cliche for a reason.
Yeah, I've seen marinara and broken glass. So spillage is real. It's real. It's not just some, gag for podcasters.
I was at a local grocery store recently, and I was getting Gatorade, like in a plastic bottle. Like this is, 6 months ago. So whatever they're making Gatorade bottles out of. And like, I was trying to grab 3 or something, and one just dropped. It completely shattered, like a jar of marinara. The plastic broke, and there was Gatorade everywhere. And I was standing there holding 2 other Gatorades and probably like something else. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, do I put everything down and start cleaning this up? I don't have paper towels.
What did you do?
Somebody said, "Oh, just leave it alone." And I just kind of like slowly walked backwards, like very carefully away from the spill and the disaster I just made. Uh-huh. It's somebody else's job to clean it up, I guess. But I'm used to like cleaning up my own messes, in metaphorically and literally. I'm surprised neither of you ever spilled anything at a grocery store. Maybe I'm just the clumsy guy.
I've knocked over displays. I think I've done that once. I've never spilled though. Have you? They have one of these out here. They have that just made me think. They have a grocery store right here that has carpet. Isn't that disgusting? I find that disgusting.
Ooh, boy,
absolutely vile. Is it a chain or an independent mom?
It is a chain. It is a small chain. But yeah, it's like it's not. They don't have carpet in the produce section, but in the aisles they have carpet, and it's disgusting. I find it's disgusting.
I don't like that. Where is it? Where are you coming from?
I'm in Minneapolis, and it's a chain, Luds and Byerly's, which is like. Okay. It's like a kind of grocery store. And it's like a kind of in that place.
Does the carpet look or does the carpet look ugh? No. Yeah.
No, okay. I mean, I think it might have when they bought it, when they first put it down. But it's old carpet is old carpet. So
yeah.
It's not like thick shag, is it like the very like tight knit kind of like close cropped carpet?
Yeah, it's very tight, very close. Like that would be insane. Crop. Yeah, I know. That would be crazy. If I saw that, I probably would just go there on principle alone. Just be like, this is insane. This is obviously not going to last forever, and I want to be part of this short-lived, terrible experiment in having shag carpet in a grocery store.
Oh, is this like olives in here? Like what's?
Yeah, completely. That'd be a terrible idea. I'd love that. That would be amazing.
I looked at an apartment in LA that had shag in the bathroom, which is really gross.
Yeah.
Around the toilet.
Like, yeah. Carpet in the bathroom. Yeah. Come on. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So in some of our larger grocery stores here, there's like guys whose specific job it is to like constantly be pushing like a wet mop through the store. Is there like just a guy constantly vacuuming the carpet at that grocery store?
I haven't seen him, but you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the kind of floor you would clean with It's not a vacuum cleaner. What do they call those? It's a little square on the edge, plastic square. A little cleanup thing. I don't know what's the term for that.
Swiffer?
It's not a Swiffer, but it predates a Swiffer. It's like what you use
for I do know what you're talking.
You go to like
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what is the name of that thing, but yeah, it's like what you see at like an Italian restaurant and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. A lot of it, we've been having quite a bit of Italian restaurant talk on this show lately. We were chatting with a previous guest about a particular song that's always being played in Italian restaurants.
Oh, yeah.
We're recording this right before Christmas, and it's a Christmas song I had never heard of.
The Christmas Donkey.
I never heard of it.
It might be only an East Coast thing. I think it's only an East Coast thing.
Yeah.
But anybody on the East Coast more or less knows this song, which is kind of we uncovered something that we had no idea about. Yeah.
So thank you for joining us. And we were talking a little bit before or I guess a little post-spill, but pre-spill correction. You used to do a movie podcast, and you still do a comic book podcast, but not quite as regularly. And you kind of had some success as a critic starting off writing on the internet. And I just you were one of the very first podcasts that I ever listened to. We were talking about how you would have to download it as an MP3. I would load it up onto my iPod. I would listen to a lot of your show, Travis Bickle on the Riviera, and The Best Show when I was living in New York. And I'd get them and load them up on the iPad and cruise through Brooklyn listening to that. And you were we're a relatively new podcast. We've been doing it about 6 months now.
Yeah, we came at the wrong time.
The worst possible time to start
yeah. When nobody cares about podcasts anymore, yeah.
But I don't know, did you enjoy being a podcaster for a while?
I did, yeah. I had a great time. I was listening to that, do you remember that, did you ever listen to On Cinema at the Cinema before they became a video show, when it was just them making fun of podcasts? When it was you could actually hear Greg and Tim Heidecker doing these little weird 3-minute podcasts. It was really OG stuff. And I was thinking of that recently. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I did. I remember when I first heard that, though. That's when I was like, oh, this is 100% what I've been doing. I had no idea.
I think I'm definitely an On Cinema fan, and we don't need to go too deep into this rabbit hole. Adam, are you On Cinema at the Cinema?
Yeah, but you have to subscribe to the High Network these days to catch up, so I'm a little behind, I would say. But I'm definitely a fan.
Tucker, have you subscribed to their kind of special version of Patreon that they do for the On Cinema thing?
Yeah. I've stuck with those guys. It's one of those things where it's you know what, I've been on board with this thing so long, I'm gonna have to see it all the way through. I'm just gonna have to see where they take this thing. I have the little plastic cards from when they were hey, if you send us $5, we'll send you a plastic card and a popcorn certificate, shit like that. Yeah, so yeah. Luckily I don't have too many of those things. That's always the problem, right? When you get into this stuff, you got 15 different Patreons you're subscribing to, and 17 different weird podcasts that you have to explain to people. Luckily I've only got a couple. On Cinema is one of those. So yeah.
Do you watch the Oscar special every year?
I do that. Yeah. Oh yeah. This past year, I actually had a guest come over and watch the Oscar special, because he was like, my girlfriend hates this stuff, and when he found out that my wife and I both like it, he was like, I've never had a chance to watch one of these with other people, and I was like, well, we might have come on over, So
yeah.
A good friend of ours is on the. He used to be on the Oscar special
every year, but not in the past year. But he was Chaplin's chili. He was the chili guy.
Oh hell yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, there's a guy named Sasha who's directed some of them, and I was actually I took an improv class with that guy at the Upright Citizens Brigade in New York City. He was in my class, and I remember thinking, I was like, man, this guy's really funny. He's funnier than everybody. He's funnier than I am. He's funnier than everybody. And then 3 months later, it's he's directing On Cinema, and I was like, oh yeah, that tracks. It tracks that guy
awesome.
Would be, yeah.
Well, it's the same thing that I have with your friend, where my partner loves our friend Hank, who's been on those the Oscar specials every year, and I'm like, we got to get together and watch the Oscar special. And we put it on, and she's like, what the fuck is this? What am I watching? I have no understanding. Why is this happening? Why is Tim Heidecker yelling at our friend Hank?
Why is he injured? Yeah.
It is fantastically impenetrable, I would say.
Yes. Yeah.
And I went with Hank to go see On Cinema live in Highland Park in Los Angeles when they were doing a tour. We went and saw Avengers Endgame in the movie theater. That was the weekend that, if that came out, if that makes any timestamp for anybody. And it was a really odd vibe being in a room with everybody who is so bought into this very particular specific thing. I don't know. I enjoyed the show, but I was I don't know if I'm really wild about this vibe.
Did people dress up?
They didn't dress up, but they were like ironically singing patriotic songs, and I was like, ooh, I got a little queasy.
Wait, led just spontaneous or led by
Tim and
All
the
right.
band.
All right.
But I was just I got it, but if anybody had like footage of me in that crowd, I'd be like, I don't know if I need that leaked. I guess since we're talking about movies, I don't want to do I don't want to put you on the spot, Tucker, but I think I got a lot of movie information from you back in the day. Did you have any favorite movies of the year at all?
This year? Geez. Oh man. Yeah, I love Sing Sing. That's not that weird of a choice, I guess. I will say that I have definitely I've gone the cliched route of being like my daughter is 12 and and I live in suburban Minneapolis, and so I'm not as plugged into movies as I used to be. And I will say when you not to complain, not to but I will say that when you do a weekly movie podcast where you're watching that many movies all the time, and then you stop doing one, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I don't have to stay up late every night, watching, watching Italian, giallo cinema, I can go to bed too,
Going to bed is really, really fun.
Yeah, it's I definitely gone that route. I would say Sing Sing I really liked. I thought that was a beautiful movie. I thought that was really great. And in terms, I'm always a big fan of just kind of, acting stunts, and that's a very much an acting stunt kind of movie. I thought Cloud was great. I don't know if you've seen that, the Kurosawa thing with really nasty. Yeah, no, that's a hell of a movie, man. Wow, that's a neat, nice piece of violence in that. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. What are the big things that came out this year? I'm not really interested in watching Hamnet. I got it. That feels like a lot of acting stunts, but not the kind that I want to watch.
I'm always I don't go to the movies that much, and I try and step up with things when they come out on streaming and watch them on home. But I always revisit the movies that were big or critically acclaimed, the 2024 movies I'll watch in 2025 so that I can be a little more choosier about them. I'm not going to watch Crash, the Academy Award winning motion picture, because everybody said it was so good. And then 3 months later, everybody was like, were we in a fever dream? Why did we like Crash so much? So I haven't seen the big movies this year. My favorite has been, and I realized it's a bad choice, but the Final Destination movie, I think I watched that movie 3 times. I really enjoyed that.
People love that movie. People were crazy. I haven't seen that movie. People crazy about that movie. Yeah.
Adam, did you have a favorite this year?
Well, the most recent movie I watched was Begonia, and
it looked good.
Yeah, I liked it. I would give it, I liked it a lot. Maybe not my favorite movie, but I really enjoyed it. So,
cool.
Yeah, I don't know what else I would pull out though.
I mean, I got over I'm doing a lot of therapy right now, and I wasn't able to see movies in theaters for a very long time. And I finally saw some movies in the theaters this year. I only saw junk. And the worst movie I saw, award goes to Tron Ares, which was really, really bad. So would not recommend.
What was your emotional experience in the theaters this year?
I mean, okay, if we want to get into it, I'm very anxious about going to movie theaters, from when I was living in New York, and then I moved to LA. And I would have to have a lot of drinks to go into a movie theater, and I'd get very anxious. After we went and saw that On Cinema show, my friend Hank from On Cinema insisted he saw Avengers Endgame the Friday night, and it was the Saturday night it came out, and he said, we got to go see the midnight screening of Avengers. And I'm like, you saw it last night? He's like, it's so good, you're going to love it. I did not love it. I said, you're going to have to get me pretty loosey-goosey to go into the movie theater. And that was the last time I saw a movie in the theater until this year. Therapy has been helping with the anxiety. I didn't know to go into a little this.
You laid it out, so yeah. I just wanted to figure what it's all about.
I'm a big Fantastic Four guy, and I really wanted to see the new Fantastic Four movie. So I work at a radio station. My day job is morning show host, and I pitched to the radio station let's buy out the whole theater and give away tickets to see the Fantastic Four, so they can go see it in the theater with people I know.
I didn't know that was your pitch.
That was my pitch.
Oh, that's a good one, though. People liked it, right? Yeah.
It was a great event, and it was a little underhanded for me to, I guess, sack up and go see a movie in a theater. So,
Did you see One Battle After Another? What about One Battle After Another?
I haven't seen it yet.
Ready to watch it on demand, but I haven't caught it yet.
I will say that's probably my movie of the year, I guess, if I was going to have to pick one. I thought that was I saw that one a couple of times. I thought that was pretty fantastic. Trying to think of what the worst one I saw was.
Tron was pretty bad, and I've a really weird relationship with the Tron franchise, and the music didn't go that hard either. I took some psychedelics in the movie theater, and I was trying to choke them down with a 99 cotton candy, probably. And I almost died in the theater, like choking by myself. And it was just like on psychedelics, ready for the Nine Inch Nails score to go, and it never really like went off, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, it doesn't really get to. I bought that one on cassette. I have a 30-year-old pickup truck that I drive around in. It has a cassette player, and good old Trent happened to put out the Tron Ares soundtrack on cassette. So I tell you, it's pretty good for a cassette soundtrack. Although you do, like my daughter and I listen to it, and she's like, it's just the same song over and over again. And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Just let it play. It's fine.
Yeah, just vibe out with it. Yeah,
it's like that first Strokes album. It's like just one really good song over and over and over and over.
The trick with the Tron soundtrack too is that I think what he does, he's like, here's the song with lyrics. Here's a song without lyrics. And you're like, that's not really two separate things.
And not really a score if you're just like, I wrote a song and then chopped the lyrics and put it behind Jared Leto, like riding a motorcycle out of a window or something like that.
Yeah.
So we wanted to kind of dig into your grocery store history. You said you're in Minneapolis right now, right?
That's where I live now, yeah.
Where did you grow up?
Well, my father was in the Army. And so I was born in Texas, and then we moved to Kansas, and then we moved to Berlin. We lived in West Berlin when there was a West Berlin, and we lived in West Berlin for a while, about 5-6 years, and then we moved to Hinesville, Georgia. Lived there for a year. Hinesville is one of those Georgia towns that only exist so that basically they can have a barber shop for the Army guys to go to. There's nothing there. It's just a town outside of an Army base. And then after that, we moved to suburban Georgia outside Atlanta. And then I moved to Northeast Georgia, and where the Appalachian Trail starts, and then New York. And then from New York, we moved to Minneapolis about 6 years ago. So I've done grocery stores in all those places.
What is the first grocery store that you remember being at, of all those places?
The Winn-Dixie, I would say. The Winn-Dixie in Georgia. I remember that. We always went to the Winn-Dixies. I was thinking that probably the most interesting youthful grocery store experience I had was, I don't know, in all your guys' episodes so far in your research, have you come across Future Store?
No.
I think we've heard of it because it's an unusual name, but we haven't dug too deep into it, and I've never seen one.
I'm not sure if they still exist. So, A&P Future Store. There was an A&P Future Store near where I lived when I was a kid, and it wasn't. It's not near enough for it to be your grocery store. Because you're not gonna drive by a Winn-Dixie and a Kroger, to go to this other place. But we went there a couple times, mainly because, it's like you're on the way home from something else and there's a grocery store there, but also because it was weird. And Future Store was a grocery store that was almost like Epcot Center style, made to look like it was in the future. So you would go to a grocery store that was a regular grocery store with all the accoutrements that said, this is the future. Like, you're in the future now. So it'd be like glass. So it was like pre-Apple store design, before Apple, because this is like I think 80s or 90s when this place existed. But yeah, it was just a lot of glass, really. It was basically like, in the future, everything will be glass. But yeah, so I remember that as being a thing that I was like, oh, I should tell those grocery store guys about that. Cause that was when I was a kid, it worked on me. I was like, this is very cool. Look at this.
What state was this in there?
This is in Georgia. It's in Georgia.
Okay. I haven't spent very much time in the South, passing through and visiting only, but there seems to be this thing about Southern grocery stores where they need to make a bit of a spectacle about it. I've heard of Piggly Wiggly and stores with animatronics and rides and stuff like that.
I do remember. Yeah, I remember Piggly Wiggly did have some goofy shit in there because of that pig. Yeah, they would have some. And Piggly Wiggly also had some crazy ass bags. I remember because we had a Piggly Wiggly for a while, and then it turned into a Winn-Dixie. But I remember when I was a kid, we go to Piggly Wiggly, and it was it's just that stuff that you just realize how special it was now that you don't have it. Like graphic design for Piggly Wiggly bags, that was like a legit thing. Like that was like, you looked at that and you're like, this, now I don't recognize it. But like back then it was like some guy was really going to work to make that pig be like, hey, I want to make this pig, I want to make it a little bit sexy, but not like gross. I don't want it to be that you look at it and could tell I was like, I'm going to make this sexy, but I am going to make it just a little bit sexy.
Very subtle, very underhanded sexiness and allure to the pig.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, but yeah.
Is the design of the Piggly Wiggly pig is not as sexy in 2025?
I'm just assuming it's not, but I mean, it does feel like when's the last time that you got like a bag from a grocery store and you were like, oh, look, so, like a human being designed this, like with like a human feeling, like everything is just designed to be like, hey, what's like the most, like, I don't know, like brand logo kind of neutered nothingness that this can have, or information. It's going to have a lot of text and information,
I've got a grocery bag. I mean, it's a tote bag that I carry around and go to grocery stores. It was actually made by like a local person. I think we've talked about it on the show, but it's like a potato print on like a cloth bag, and I cannot go into a store with it without it being remarked on. And I had one guy like start yelling at me across the grocery store saying, "Where's your potato bag? Hey, potato bag guy, where's your potato bag?" Like, a striking grocery bag can make all the difference in the grocery store experience, I find.
I think everybody want to be reminded that they're around human beings, that they're like, there's like, that they're not just a bunch of automatons going through the motions. Yeah.
I mean, at Future Grocery Store, was it literally like automatons behind the glass, like chopping a robot chicken's head off?
No, that's, it's funny. I haven't done it recently, but there have been times. It's such a weird experience. It was such a weird thing that I look back on now that existed, that there have been times where I've gone online to like find like the guy who wrote an article about Future Store, the guy who wrote the explainer. And I don't really remember exactly what it was that they tried to do to make it be like futuristic, because there wasn't a lot of technology there. Like it wasn't like they really just kind of wanted to go for this vibe. And I think it really was just kind of in the graphic design and the signage. Like it really was just like, we've got a lot of glass. We've got a lot of like sterile writing above things. Like it did have it wasn't like the scenes in They Live when he puts on the glasses and everything, but it did have that kind of quality of just like things were very stark, and they would say like, apples and that kind of stuff. And, I don't remember, and they had regular A&Ps. It was just like, this was an A&P Future Store. And that meant it had a lot of glass and it had weird signage,
A destination A&P.
Yeah. But I mean, it was also like, it was in a shitty strip mall, just like everything else down there. It's just another shitty strip mall in Georgia,
I appreciate people trying for a vibe. There's something when they're really going out of their way to like make you feel like you're, I don't know, on like a movie set or something. That's great. I love that.
We would go, and we've talked about this on the show as well, but I have very vague memories of I don't know if it was a chain or a place, but it was called Plowboys. And I'm from Long Beach, California, which is like a very, very big, like kind of its own city, but suburb of LA. Like it's very, Southern California city. And you would go to this store, Plowboys, and they'd make it feel like, oh, we're just like real folksy old farm guys, like that have sawdust on the ground, and everything would be like in a cart with kind of that red checker pattern gear. Like they were definitely selling a specific vibe. Like, well, you're not in the big city anymore. You're here in the country now. And interesting that kind of the more southern vibe is to project like big city future, New York, downtown LA kind of vibes.
Yeah, the Blade Runner futures.
When you were describing it, I kept thinking Logan's Run a little bit. That was what I was jumping to. So.
Yeah, I noticed Logan's Run is on Tubi. I've been watching a lot of Tubi lately, and I was like, maybe I should crack in and watch 27 minutes of commercials and catch up on Logan's Run.
Have you ever been to the Madonna Inn, Adam?
I'm familiar with it. I've never been there.
Tucker, do you know the Madonna Inn in, I guess, Central California?
No.
It's very kitschy and themed, and it's like, I don't know if every room has a different theme, but it's like just a really gaudy, overly decorated tourist trap of a hotel, like kind of just heavily decorated kitsch magnet. And I wonder, like, I can imagine that being a nice grocery store style. So
yeah, it's like real like Vegas in the '60s kind of a thing. Yeah.
So Tucker, as you mentioned you're a dad and you're in Minneapolis. What does your data or your shopping look like on a regular basis? Like, how often are you going? Where are you shopping?
So we're regulars at Cub Foods. That's our regular grocery store. That's the one where we're getting our produce, we're getting our regular stuff, we're getting our whatever meals. That's weekly. We also, it's the suburbs, so we got Costco. Costco's, you're going to do giant things of almonds there. You're going to get the giant things of mixed greens they have at Costco for, I don't know why my voice is doing that when I say the things, but yeah, but mixed greens. You can hear my eyebrows going up as I name the things at Costco. I am a fanatic for these things called Sara Lee pecan coffee cakes. Sara Lee pecan coffee cakes are not, they are actually hard to come by if you're somebody who's looking for them on a regular basis. When I was growing up in Georgia, they were very easy to come by. My mom would get them from this one grocery store, and I was never too far from wanting them. If I wanted them, they were there. Then I moved to New York and discovered that they are never in New York, ever. They say New York City has everything. It doesn't have Sara Lee pecan coffee cakes. And somebody, you can raise this stuff. You can say, hey, I was talking to this guy, Tucker, he said that, and then you can bring it up. And they say, what about the butter streusel? And it's like, let me be clear. The butter streusel coffee cake is not the same as the pecan coffee cake. Completely different. And yes, I know you can find the butter streusels in New York City. That's not the one I'm looking for. I say all that to say that you can't get pecan coffee cakes, Sara Lee pecan coffee cakes at Cub Foods, at Costco, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, any of the places they have it here. You can get it at that place I just mentioned, Lunds and Byerly's. Why do I go to the grocery store that has the carpet? Because for some reason they have Sara Lee pecan coffee cakes. They have so much. Last time I only go there for that, and every once in a while I'll go there, and I will be the guy who buys 4 of these frozen things, because when we got this house, it came with a freezer, like a downstairs freezer, like a crazy person freezer, and so it's full of pecan coffee cakes right now. And I was at that Lunds and Byerly's, and I'm in there with the guy, and the guy said, like, what are you looking for? And I was like, I'm looking for these pecan coffee cakes. Usually are right here. And he's like, oh, says we got them on order. They should be here next couple of weeks or so. I'll check the truck for you. I was like, all right. He's like, I'm going to go look in the back for you right. And I came out and he was like, not in yet, but it should be on the way. And I was just like, I like that it's clear. People are like, there's that guy. He only buys one thing. And I'm pretty sure the prices have gone up too. I think they were like $3.99, now they're $7. It's ridiculous. What's happened in our country? We used to be a country. So I would say once it's Cub Foods once a week, Costco once every 3 months, Lunds and Byerly's whenever I get whenever I just feel like I can't go on, when I feel like life is not worth living. I'm like, I just haven't had a pecan coffee cake in a while. But I get one. And guess who doesn't like them? Everybody else I live with. That's right. Those girls, They don't touch it. It's perfect. When I left my last job, it was very emotional. Everybody was sad to see me go. I was going off to take another opportunity, and my entire team, the woman I reported to, and then the people on my marketing team, they brought me into the conference room, and they had gone and found one of these coffee cakes, and they had cooked it incorrectly, but that's fine. And but then they had set it up for me, and then they were all just like, we were all just eating it together, and they're like, I don't really get the appeal here. And I was like, no, it's fine. It's fine.
This is my thing. This is for me.
All right.
Yeah, this is a me thing.
Yeah.
When you say that they were cooked correctly, this is not what I'm picturing. I was thinking like it's a Little Debbie, like in a shrink wrapped plastic tray, like pre-baked thing. Like, what is this exactly that you're talking about? The pecan cake.
It's in a foil, so it's like a pie. So it's in a foil pan. It's frozen, and then you take it out and you cook it. You can either cook it in the oven. Or you can cut it out of the foil pan, obviously not in the microwave, but cut pieces out and microwave it. Yeah.
And when you say that your colleagues, all good intentions, but they mangled the cooking of it, like how did they fuck it up?
Well, it's a good question. I think they tried to toast it. I think they tried to like put it in a toaster oven, which is not. Unfortunately, and this is it's going to sound like heresy, but it's just trust me. I'm a middle-aged man. I've been cooking these things for a long time. You got to cook them in the microwave. You got to cook them in the mic. Whatever chemicals and processed shit they have in there that make this thing taste so wonderful, it only comes out if you cook it in a microwave. You put that into an oven. You put that into a toaster oven. It just doesn't have that thing. This is not like a quality made cake, This should not be like cooked in an oven. You cook it in a microwave.
Kind of like the little frozen White Castle sliders. Like if you're not doing those in the microwave, you're not really cooking those the correct way. I feel like the.
And what are we doing here anyway? Let's not stand on ceremony. Come on, what are we doing here? Come on.
Pecan is a very southern thing, right? Like I didn't grow up eating a lot of them or a lot of like cakes, pies featuring pecan.
Mm-hmm. I know, and that may be why why they're hard to track down.
Yeah, I can imagine that they didn't make their way to New York, and I don't know like the makeup of Minneapolis if it's like got a little southern to it. I know it's Midwest, but often like places in the Midwest have southern vibes a little bit.
Yeah, I find it very confusing because my wife is Jewish, and so we go to Lunds and Byerly sometimes because they're the only place. Minneapolis does not have no Jewish population really, and a very, very small. It has some, but it's very, very small. And so she has a couple of things she likes to get for the what they call the high holidays, like this type of bread you get for challah bread. You get challah bread. And then also if you want to make your own matzo ball soup, you got to get that stuff for that. And you can't get that at any of the grocery stores except for Lunds and Byerly's. Lunds and Byerly's is the only place that has that stuff. And they have it. Of course, they have it in a section that they're like the ethnic section. You're like, really? Oh, okay. But so I find it
international
unusual.
foods. Yeah.
It's like I find it unusual that the Lunds Byerly. But yeah, so I consider Lunds and Byerly's just to be kind of like my weird Swiss Army knife kind of like store. That's where they have like the stuff, But I don't know why they would have pecan coffee cake because you're right. Pecan stuff is primarily not just. I mean, it's a southern thing. So I don't know why it's made it to Minneapolis in that regard, but. That's how it is.
We're both half Jewish ourselves, and like Adam had a bit of a housewarming party yesterday and said all the Hanukkah candles are sold out in the area we live in. We live in the Joshua Tree area, and they do have Jewish stuff around here. It is that little special.
It is an international set next to soy sauce.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like nobody had the Hanukkah candles. Like my partner's been looking, who's not Jewish at all, and is very interested in like Jewish stuff, I guess. She's like, oh, we got to do Hanukkah. But she keeps getting the wrong candles every year. You can't find the right little skinny ones that fit in the thing. So happy Hanukkah to your wife, by the way, Tucker.
Yeah. They're just, we did the presents and all the stuff and everything. My daughter makes it very clear that she's like, I'm not just this though. So we have to keep doing Christmas as well. Like, I got it.
Yeah.
Adam, is there anything that you like know this one particular grocery store has that you're just gonna go there like for your special thing that you like?
I mean, I guess the only thing for that would be the Mexican grocery store, but that's not like a mass marketed thing. That's like something that was made in house. But like rice or beans or mangoes with chili and stuff like that, I'll go to the Mexican grocery store just for that, or tortillas. But in terms of like mass marketed thing, so I grew up Utz chips are the East Coast thing, and there's I grew up on the salt and vinegar Utz chips. Those were my thing. And there was one liquor store in East Hollywood that had them, so I would go way out of my way to get those.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you could even get Utz in California at all.
I know. Me too. But there they were. And so, I mean, if I was roughly in the area, I would swing by. Yeah.
For me, there's it's the Synergy Brain Kombucha, and they do a blue variety. And the only place I can get it is like this one grocery store in Palm Springs that I'm always kind of driving past. So I'll often like swing by and be like, oh, I could pop in and get that one type of kombucha that I like that's $5 for a bottle. Extraordinarily expensive, but it's really good. It's got like blue spirulina and coconut.
I've had it before.
I'm obsessed.
It's like bright blue.
Yeah. So I guess it's time for us to probably talk about the topic, but I wanted to ask because like our topic today is protein powder, and Tucker, are you like a workout guy?
I am a workout guy. Yeah.
Okay. I wrote this down. I don't know if it's offensive to workout guys, but I remember from the Jersey Shore program. I don't know if it was Suki or Sammy Sweetheart, but they used to call the big boys the gorilla juice heads. Is that an offensive term?
No, I mean, I think it's pretty accurate. If you're like a steroids guy, that's what they call juice heads, right? Yeah.
Is juice head specifically to steroids? Like,
juice head is I've only ever heard juice head as to specifically refer to guys who are who are juicing. Yes, so steroids.
Okay.
I gotta say though, like I'm blown away. Like the steroid thing, like in my lifetime has changed. Where steroids, like when I was a kid, steroids were like, there's the Ben Affleck special, like don't use steroids. Steroids are bad. Steroids make you. And the steroids got all these problems. That was a steroid, steroids used in the Major League Baseball. It's like, oh, this is terrible. We don't like this kind of stuff. And somehow, really feels like in the last few years, there's just been this shift where it's like, steroids are great. Yeah. You should just use steroids. And I'm like, when did this happen? And it's just like all these guys online are just like these hardcore body dysmorphia guys who are just like, I gotta get myself all beautiful and jacked. And you're like, what are you doing, man? Like, it's just like all these people, like, I mean, I don't know, man, everybody should do their own thing, and I'm not judging you or anything like that, but it does feel like when I was a kid, everybody was like, obviously this is not a good idea, don't do this. And now we're just like, you should just do it. Like, it's great.
Have the steroids gotten safer? Is that like part of the...
No, they haven't gotten safer at all. Like,
I think it's just more... Yeah, it's more generally accepted that like Wolverine is on him. So if you want to look like Wolverine, that's what you got to do.
Okay.
So yeah.
I don't know if you can tell, Tucker, but I won't speak for Adam. I am not like... I will talk about like workout stuff a little bit. I exercise, but I'm not like a strength guy. I don't have muscles or anything like that.
What juice? What is it? Juice?
Gorilla juice head?
You're not a gorilla juice head?
Not at all.
But by the way, in the research in the 40s, they were called barbell men.
Oh, the gorilla juice heads?
Workout guys. Barbell men. So yeah.
Love it.
I didn't think we'd be talking about steroids, and, protein powder is different from steroids, of course. But somebody told me many years ago, like, one of the first guys I knew who was actually like a bit of a gym rat told me, and I'm going to try and describe it, but the muscle that goes like from the midpoint of your neck, like down to the shoulder, like around, that you see like very inflated on like professional wrestlers. He pointed out that Glenn Danzig had that muscle like very exaggerated. And he said there's no way to work out that muscle. So if you see it really big like that, that means that the guy is doing steroids. Any truth to that?
I mean, I think there is a possible way to work that out. We're talking about your delts and your trapezoids there. So yeah, there's definitely. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm happy to co-sign a blanket condemnation of people though with no research whatsoever. So let me backtrack and say yes.
But you like to work out? Do you like lift weights? Is that what it's called? Like, tell us. Can you talk about like what you do in the gym?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, first off, to preface this by saying that I have not been able to work out since June 30th of this year. June 30th, I donated one of my kidneys to a friend of mine. And the recovery period for that is supposed to be kind of like you get back into it pretty quickly. Unfortunately, it was a bit more of a challenge for me. And oddly enough, it was a bit more of a challenge for me because I am so tore up from the floor up that when I was getting all the incisions and everything on my stomach, the nurses, and I think they might have been saying this just to make me feel good, but that's fine. I'm going to take it at face value. They said, if you were just like a little bit fat or something like this, it would have been easier for you because your stomach is so tight and so firm. It's just going to hurt more. And I was like, okay. Well, that's not a bad proof. Yeah. So prior to that, though, I'm a weightlifting guy. I'm a running guy. I was doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu for a while. So I had the full-on shitty Joe Rogan style personality trait, but I'm not one of those people. I just happen to be doing the things that those people do. So yeah, and I've been that for, I want to say about 12, 13 years now. Prior to that, no, I didn't grow up doing that. I didn't grow up doing athletics, doing any of that kind of stuff, but it came to be something that I really enjoyed doing. And I don't know, it came to be kind of a psychological thing too. Like it was a thing of like really trying to test in limitations and that sort of thing. And like seeing like what I could do. Cause I'm not somebody who is kind of physically designed to be like a big workout guy. And I also don't have the personality of a big workout guy. Like I don't really like, I'm not really like a Joe Rogan type person. I'm not really I'm not like a libertarian or somebody like that or whatever. I also find one thing I find kind of amusing. You ever see that thing where you have you watch like a reality TV show or like a competition show, and some guy's on there and he talks about like his wife and his daughter. So he's like, "I'm just doing this to show my kid like what it is to be a champion," or "I'm just doing this to like." They say all this stuff, and I'm like, "Man, my girls would just like me to just be around. They don't really." There's never been a time when my wife or daughter are like, "God, I just hope Tucker can bench press just a little bit more today." Yeah. I might respect him a little bit.
Yeah.
I keep hearing, and like again, I'm not a jacked guy, and like I just turned 40. I've like my body's fallen apart since I've turned 40, and I'm trying to amp up my exercise and stuff. But I think like women tend to not love the super jacked guy so much, and no offense, Tucker, I know you are a Gorilla Juice head, but they want just like, it's good to be toned and fit, but they're not like, when they see the guy with the huge muscles and he's like standard like bodybuilding type guy, I don't know if that's appealing to a lot of heterosexual women is my understanding of it. Like,
I mean, I only could tell you like I've been out of the game for a long time, so I can only really tell you what one woman likes. And as far as I could tell, she just likes me to be around. But I do think that like at a certain point, woman, man, they're going to know that like the only way you can look like that is to be incredibly into yourself. Like there's really you can't be a certain type of physical person and have like the ability to be out past 8:30 at night. You can't to eat normally. Like there's like a lot of stuff that if you want to look a certain way, the amount of bullshit sacrifice you have to do is just not that interesting. Like it's just like, yeah, that's not really a partner. I don't really want somebody who's like going to be sitting around measuring their oatmeal, every 2.5 hours. Like, I just don't want to do that. Like there are, and I know some people say that is what they want. You're like, okay, yeah, well, wake me up after like a year,
And when you talk about like being into yourself, like there is, I mean, I've certainly like as a relatively normal looking white dude, I've got like a certain amount of body dysmorphia as well. And I think probably everybody does. But I wish I was a little fitter and a little faster and a little stronger. Adam just moved to Joshua Tree, and I've been here for like 8 years, and some of this show has been me kind of like breaking down some of what you can expect. And I was a member of our local gym here for a while. It was, at the time, the only gym, and it was my first time actually being a gym member in my entire life. And I did not care for the vibe at this particular gym. Mm-hmm. When you talk about a lot of people being libertarian when they're into the workout stuff, like all of the TVs at best would be showing Fox News. At worst, they would be showing like the Tang Dynasty News Network. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the TDN.
Oh, no.
It's like a rat-faced fuck just looking at the camera, and then they intersperse it with B-roll, and it's like put on by like the Tang Dynasty, the people that own like the Epoch Times.
Shen
Yun. Yeah. It's just like it's not professional level, super, right-wing wacko news network that's on 24 hours. And like, that's what would be on at the gym when I'm like trying to run on a treadmill, and like, just distracting and weird. It's like upsetting to look at those people. And
yeah, just put on Judge Judy.
Yeah, I would love Judge Judy.
Yeah.
The best Like, I stopped going to the gym because I'm like, I can run more effectively. I was at the gym and one TV was showing like Fast and Furious 2. And I was like, I can run to Fast and the Furious 2. And so I got a treadmill and I set up a TV in front of my treadmill at home. And now I like run for an hour and like watch movies or dumb TV shows. And that's been more effective for me to get exercise than to go to a gym. And I probably need to incorporate some like weightlifting now that I'm 40. But for, I'm maintaining on the treadmill and stuff. So I did do a 5K and it kicked my ass. I need to get off the treadmill and like run in the real world a little bit. But Adam, are you doing much of the workout situation?
Absolutely not. I am by far the most out of shape. I've played sports and stuff, but I have very little muscle mass right now. Very little stamina is the one that really kicked my ass when I realized how quickly it was depleted. So yeah, I don't know, and I never really enjoyed it. So I got to square that circle. I got to figure it out, but I don't know what I'm going to do. I thought about a rowing machine.
Yeah. I will say I do love it. I do. That is one thing that I try to like when I get asked about it from time to time. I can get really into the weeds of talking about the specificity of it, but I try to remember myself. It's like, I want to say, I just really love it. I love the way it makes me feel. I love the way, I do think that being, there's a Henry Rollins piece that I think a lot of people have read over the years called The Iron, a really short essay where he talks about his experience of working out and how you feel about him or that piece. Notwithstanding, there's a comment that he makes in there that I think is so effective is that there's nothing you do in life that isn't made better by having strength. There's nothing that isn't improved upon by just having the capacity to kind of do it a little bit more, do it a little bit longer, to kind of be able to just take care of your own body. And I do think that there is a huge amount nowadays of struggle that people face in terms of comparing themselves to other people and that sort of thing. And I'm not going to try to pretend that's not part of my struggle too, but I have found that like training, I call it training more than I call it exercise, but training for me is the one area where it's like, it's a chance for me to really learn about myself and to really work within myself and try to see what I am, what I can do. That I think is the most beneficial part, more than anything else, more than anything, that happens.
That's a really healthy attitude. I would say about working out, and like, I'm trying to get there a little bit as well, but I don't know. Very, very nice to hear that. It sounds like you're doing it for the right reasons. Unlike anybody on The Bachelor, you're there for the right reasons. So we're here to talk about protein powder, and we've got a lot of stuff about the history of protein powder and like protein powder controversies and things like that. But are you a protein powder user, Tucker?
I am not currently a protein powder user. I had to stop. I had to start taking the kind of protein powder that they take for. There's very few that you can take if you're donating a kidney. So I had to stop because I wanted to make sure that the kidney was like the one I was going to donate was going to be in top capacity. And so I had to stop doing. Up until then, I was someone who took protein powder as part of my training regimen. Since I've donated the kidney,
can I interrupt?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So I'm very curious, like, and this is too personal to get into, but like, what does that timeline look like? Like, do they say you need to stop doing stuff that's bad for the kidney, like 6 months, a year? Like, how long does it take to clean out a kidney you're donating?
Buddy, they don't tell you anything. They don't tell you anything. They don't tell you anything. I created my own system. I created my own regimen. I created my own plan because they don't tell you anything. They tell you nothing whatsoever. They're basically, their whole thing is they just take blood stuff and they just tell you whether or not you're a match, really basic stuff like don't smoke cigarettes, that kind of thing. And I'm like, well, I don't. And they're like, okay. Yeah, they don't tell you anything. When I first set up, I mean, I tell people about this. When I first said I wanted to do this for him, for my buddy, there was like a website that I went to for this. It's a hospital in California that I went to, and I'm on this automated thing filling out this form, and I click, like I'm doing a questionnaire, and I click yes on question 3, and the screen goes completely white, and I was just sitting there, and I was like, oh man, must have messed something up here. Like it must have crashed or something like that. And I sat at that white page for like, I don't know, maybe a minute. And I was just kind of like, and then I just kind of was like randomly scrolling, on the trackpad on the computer. And all of a sudden I realized that like all that had happened was I'd gone to the next question and it was white text on a white screen. They just, and so I was like, oh. And so I highlighted it. And so when you highlight it, it changes the color enough that you can see it. So I was able to answer that question and move. So the next question 5 was totally normal. And as I went on and finished the survey, there were like 2 more times that the page just blanked out right then. And I was just like, wow, these guys are really. And that was a good indication of what the experience of donating a kidney was like, because they don't tell you anything. And they just don't. I mean, they just don't, So no, I just kind of I looked at it like the way I look at training, which is I was like, I have a specific goal. I know what my date is here. I know the date that I'm going to do this operation, and I am going to optimize my body and optimize my organs and optimize my training towards that moment. And so I changed my diet. I basically went on like a really like obsessive kind of kidney health diet, like the kind you would go on if you were somebody who is, struggling with kidney disease, struggling with kidney failure. And then I just kind of reverse engineered that towards somebody, but reverse engineered is a stupid way to put it. I just basically maximized that diet for growth and health. And then I just trained in that regard, with that in mind, because that was like a goal.
What is good kidney health? As somebody with probably bad kidney health, like how does one improve a kidney?
So one thing, you mentioned running. Running is a thing I like to do too. But the thing about running is that running can like really tax a kidney if you do it to like great endurance, like long length. That can be really challenging to a kidney. So I kind of just tried to do a lot of like fartlek style running. Basically cardio speed style running. Everything I tried to do would try to operate in that space of like I'm building endurance, but not never too long. Never too long. Everything has to be kind of like minimalized so the kidney's not being pushed to have to do its work more aggressively. And then a lot of like strength training stuff where it's like, okay, instead of doing, 10 reps to failure or something like that, it's like 4 to 5, that kind of thing. So it's not taxing anything for an extended period of time, because that like, I don't want to wear it out. I don't want to scar it or something like that.
What about your protein intake? Did that change?
Well, because I wasn't taking protein powder. I mean, you can't. I don't think you can really. If you're a normal person, meaning somebody has like a normal life and a normal job, you can't really get the kind of protein that you need without protein powder. I mean, you just have to eat so much when it comes to like fish and chicken and even like tofu. Really, you just have to eat more than I think is really realistically possible as somebody who like lives with a family, and so not having protein powder kind of made that challenging. And the kidney processes protein. That's one of its main jobs, right?
Yeah. So I was doing some research and obviously big disclaimer, we know nothing about health and body and do not take anything we take. Yeah, exactly. So I was doing some research and I was trying to figure out if there's a danger in over and too much protein. And basically the general consensus is no, because your body will just piss it out or whatever, except it can, in rare circumstances, it can be, like you're saying, taxing on the kidney. So if that is a particular concern of yours, that might be the only instance. But for the most part, it's not really a problem. That's more or less what I've found. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's why they have like things like, one thing, it's all nonsense in a lot of ways. Like most health stuff and optimized eating things is ultimately like 95% of the rules have never changed. Just that 5% where people make their money online, convincing you that like a tiny little thing. But one of those things that they convince people is a big deal recently is like timing of your protein intake, that basically you should like parse it out, because you can only process between 25 and 30 grams at a time. So if you do like 35, you're wasting your time, because like you said, you're just going to piss it out. And I don't know how much any of that is true. It seems absurd that they would be able to tell that, but that has become a thing of timing it,
How do you monetize profit? Like, do you sell like specific capsules and like a regimen and say, oh, you take this one at 10? Like, where's the money?
I think you sell like people on the idea of like a dieting plan that's built around scheduling your food and that sort of thing. Renaissance periodization is a popular one. Periodization meaning you're going to parse this out during the day. That guy is very funny, I would say. I follow that guy online. He's very, he spends all his time posting videos of like the Jack Reacher guy working out, and then he's like, "This is why that's bullshit." And I'm like, "Oh, this is great. It's very charming." It's fun to watch like juice heads talk about other juice heads critically. It's very enjoyable.
One of my most favorite running shows was the Jack Reacher program, the Amazon one as well. That was like top tier, A+ best show to run.
Was it because you were watching a big muscle man?
Very inspiring to see his huge shit on the screen, but it's just like the right mix of like exciting and smart and dumb and good and bad that it was like perfect to run to. Like very adrenaline inducing. I loved it. Tucker, we want to get back to the protein stuff a little bit. When you were in, not focused on kidney, like, were you a big protein powder guy? When you were like looking for gains in the gym, were you doing a lot of protein powder?
Oh yeah, there was this stuff called a mass gain. It was just this gigantic, it came in a huge bag, like it just came in a disgusting, like really, and the bag itself was just kind of, and then it said mass gain on it and that stuff. Whew, yeah, that was disgusting. I love that. It had a scooper that was, the scooper was the size of a coffee mug. Like it came with a plastic, thing. It was like, here you go, here's your slop, buddy. I always used to think that it would really, like, you remember in The Matrix when they show, like, this is what you have to eat now that you live in the real world, and it's just the slop stuff. I remember watching that in the theater and kind of going like, oh, that'd be easy.
Yeah, would you mix it with, like, a smoothie or something like that, or would you just, like, mix it with water and just take it?
I initially was a smoothie guy. I was. And then at a certain point, I did become kind of like just mix this with water, like sometimes it would even be like, mix this with warm water, which is really, that's when you're like, what am I doing? Like I'm just being gross. Cause at some point, you just like start to read this thing where you're like, oh yeah, well, you're supposed to like do it while you're like working out. Like that's like the best part. Like that's how you get even more jacked, is to like be drinking this slop while you're actually like doing pull-ups and stuff. And then at some point it's like you get it and it's like hot because it's like been in your trunk or whatever. And then you're just like, oh, this is how it's supposed to taste. It's kind of like hot. It's kind of like hot chocolate, and you're like, I don't want to drink hot chocolate while I'm sweating and working out, but then maybe I kind of do. I don't know.
Do you happen to remember if it was whey based or some other
whey.
type of? Yeah.
I did whey and I also did casein. I call it casein. I'm actually not sure if that's pronounced correctly, but I did whey and then I was on the thing for a while where you would do casein at night. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man, have you guys had casein pudding? Have you had that?
No, I've never had any protein powder at all. Like my first experience with protein powder, I had a very gnarly freshman year college roommate who had the big tubs and the big ladles, and he just got protein powder everywhere. Like it was like we had a sink in the shared room, and there was just a fine layer of protein powder all over every goddamn thing in the joint.
Hell yeah.
And it was vile, and I'd never seen protein powder. I think I went with him to a GNC to buy more protein powder, and like I'd never been in a GNC before, and it kind of freaked me out.
Hell yeah.
Why is the tub so big?
So you don't have to go back to the GNC.
Yeah, you need a bunch.
Is it supposed to be like it's a big tub for a big man?
No. It's think of it like dog food or something. You just need a bunch of stuff of mass. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was trying to grapple with this. Like, did you used to have to go to like a specific store to buy protein powder? Or has it always been easy to come by? Like,
I think it's always been easy to come by. I remember when I was a kid, I had like Carnation instant breakfast, and I'm pretty sure that's just protein powder. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Like that kind of stuff is just kind of a version of protein powder. I had that when I was like a little kid. It was like that you add this to milk, and this is like a substitute for a meal. And it was very sugary and everything like that. But I remember I had that when I was a kid. And then when I was in when I first had my first apartment in college and stuff like that, which is probably the first time that I actually had protein powder on a semi-regular basis. And it's really not that different. I think it's pretty much the same stuff. I had like, was it, you remember Nelly? It's Hot in Here?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I remember. I don't know if this is true, but I had thought of this too when we were picking the topic. Nelly was the first celebrity I remember who did like branding and advertising for a protein powder. He did branding and advertising for Myoplex muscle milk, and he was like, "Yo," because Nelly's thing was that he was like really ripped, like guy's super fit.
Abs, yeah.
And but I remember like seeing ads with Nelly being like, "Yo, this is what I do." And then Myoplex muscle milk was like, you could find that at you can still find it. It's at grocery stores. They have it at gas stations. It's one of the protein powders that I remember like when they started to do it like individual things. When I was in college, I was living in Northeast Georgia. I bought it not because I wanted to buy it like on a regular basis. I was just so blown away by this one thing I found at the grocery store, which is like cans of like protein drinks, of a chocolate protein drink, like a metal can that you would open with a can opener.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
you can't drink right out of the can if you use the can opener. You get like
madness,
right?
But I just remember buying. I just remember that thing was like that's why I got it, because I was like, this is like I was like looking at it, and maybe it was like for preppers or something like that. Although this would have been at a time when preppers would not have, they would have existed, but it wasn't like a cultural. They didn't use that term. But I just remember seeing that and kind of being like, no way, like really, and buying it for that reason, and then of course getting it home, opening it up, putting it in a cup, drinking it, and being like, yeah, this tastes exactly the same as Carnation Instant Breakfast. It doesn't, I mean, so whatever the chemical is the same chemical they use and all that stuff.
There's something psychological about, you're a workout guy and you have to work extra hard to open the can. They're making you reward yourself by the end of it.
What is the muscle that cranking the can opener exercises?
So Soylent has come up a few times in our podcast, and I always think it's funny that just like these tech guys reinvented Carnation or reinvented Ensure or whatever, that like these things existed, but it's brand new.
Silen made everybody, like, I worked a delivery job where we like, if you use our service, here's an extra thing of Soylent, and I threw a lot of it into dumpsters. I refused to give it away. I gave some to friends, and it made all of the friends that drank the Soylent sick at the time. Like, people really fucking hated Soylent.
Yeah.
But we like, what does protein powder do for the human body? Like, we've talked that, yes, I understand that protein. I don't know science. I don't know workout. Like, if I'm taking a bunch of protein powder, what's that doing for me?
I did a bunch of research on this, but also Tucker, feel free to weigh in if you've got a personal story. But here's the thing: protein, like, it's all about like how quickly does it enter the bloodstream. So if we're talking plant protein, like, your gut or whatever has to literally break apart the fiber in order to get the amino acids that make up protein, and they put them into the bloodstream. If we're talking meat, it's still the same thing. There's fat, there's cartilage, there's like different tissue stuff. So it needs to like break it down. And when they say complete protein, it all gets broken down into individual amino acids. So the amino acids are the thing that we need roughly about 20 of them at a certain ratio, give or take. So basically what the protein powder does is it has the right balance, give or take, with, a lot of variability, but the right balance of the amino acids in a form that very quickly can get into your bloodstream. And that's essentially it.
I'm gonna play the dumb guy here.
Yeah.
Totally being, fake dumb guy or whatever. But why does protein make me strong, I guess? Is it like, why do I want it? You're telling me that the protein's getting into the blood, but why do I want the protein in the blood in the first place?
The proteins are, in a lot of ways, especially muscles and tendons, but not just them. They are the building blocks of your body. So it's not just working out. It's also like it's mostly repairing. Like when you work out, you're making tears and stuff like that. So it's not just like getting bigger like a balloon. It's like this is the stuff that's going to fix the tear that you just caused to your body. So yeah, it's the raw materials that make up, that stitch that stuff back together. Really, yeah. And one of the reasons why animal protein is so easy, I would say, for this purpose, is that it is the closest thing to the exact like formula of amino acids that we also need for our, because it's muscles that you're eating.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So eating the muscle to make the more muscle in the body, I guess, right? That's like the real simple, like, nutshell of it.
Yeah.
Is that too simplistic? Am I really missing the dang point here?
There's it's hard to get a good analogy. There's amino acids that you need, and they're at a specific ratio, and different people need them for different purposes. Like a endurance person would need one ratio, endurance runner versus like a muscle band, right? But there are the amino acids that you need that turns into protein, or that builds your body back up, and different foods have different percentages of them. So even if you ate like broccoli or whatever, theoretically it would have all of them, but it might have like a ton of one and barely any of the other one. So your balance is going to be all off, and it's going to be hard to get it all right. Yeah.
And I'm not such a supplement guy, but Tucker, maybe you could weigh in on this. Is like when you are taking dietary supplements, protein powder included, with like express goals, when you're like, in training, as you put it, like you are trying to like get all of the things that you're not getting from the diet, and you're like trying to make like point the nutrition or like the nutrients that your body's getting in like a certain direction. Am I understanding this correct?
I mean, you're eating for a purpose, right? You're targeting certain macros, and you're trying to, supplementing becomes an easier way to hit those numbers, to hit those metrics, in a way that's controllable. Like that's part of it too. I mean, some of this stuff I feel like, it's not the dirty little secret because I think people know it, but some of this is because it's kind of a fanatical version of control, right? That might be why, we make these jokes about like libertarian or whatever, but like it has a kind of a tech bro thing. Soylent being like a tech bro thing is a good example, where it's like, trying to eat in a macro way is a way to kind of like turn food into a numerical commodity. Like I'm going to eat to these numbers because this is what my body needs. And while there is some truth to that, your body needs a certain number of grams of protein a day, or can use. And if you go above it, then how do you lose weight? You put yourself in a calorie deficit. How do you gain weight? You put yourself in a calorie surplus, and then you control what that surplus is if you want to gain, with an eye towards gaining muscle mass and not gaining fat. And protein powder is like an effective way, assuming you're spending the money to get like a good protein powder, assuming you're getting a protein powder that's not got a ton of sucrose in it and all that kind of stuff, so that you're getting something that actually is not whatever bad. I mean, like everything else, whatever bad things it's doing to your body is offset by the good things, hopefully, by enough of a margin so that you're getting closer to your goals and not running your body, screwing up your kidneys, screwing up your body on the way towards that goal.
I don't know. I don't want to say I'm like I'm not a skeptic, but when you are tuning your diet in the way that you want to build your body, Tucker, like you are seeing results from this, right? Like this is like you take the protein powder and you're like, I've got better muscles. I can see the results. Is that true?
When I've done that kind of eating, yeah, I've seen results. I have seen results. The negatives of it did not offset the positives for me. So I was able to hit the numbers I wanted to hit in terms of my own weight and physical appearance. Like I was happy with those results, but I did not enjoy the experience. I did not like being that feeling, eating that much on a regular basis. I just didn't like the way it felt. I remember my wife saying like, you're like a little oven. Like I would have, they call them like the meat sweats and that kind of thing. But like I was ingesting so much protein, so much meat that like the way my body reacted to that was it would just get really hot. And so like, my wife and I sleep in a nice big bed together, and I would just be over there just like a little hot box, just like sweating, And I ended up buying that thing that you get, it's like a coolie pad, so you can put it underneath your part of the bed, and then you can make your part of the bed colder. And I did that just because I was sweating all the time, because I was just like a little sweaty hot boy, because I was just eating a lot of protein. And so, yes, I did get this like result, but two things happened. One, I just didn't really like the amount of food I was having to eat. And two, I'm a husband and I'm a father, and I was sitting there at the dinner table with my own little scale weighing my food, and I'm being funny about it, and I'm being like, cool, isn't this stupid that I'm doing this? But in my head, I'm like, and even though I'm eating in a healthy way, it didn't feel like it was a mentally healthy way to like be doing this, because I am not somebody who I'm not Henry Cavill. I am not making my living off my body. Like, this is not, nobody gives a shit what I look like. And so there was a point where I was like, what am I doing this for? And I don't have a good answer. And I don't think that this is a good example to set for these people that I care about. And so nothing happened. I just realized I was like, I've gone too far down this road, so I'm going to pull back.
When you mentioned the Henry Cavill thing, like that's the thing that I think about a lot, and like I talk about it on the radio all the time, where it's like, I don't know, I try to look decent, and but it's not my job to look hot. And like you see a Henry Cavill type, or I don't know, I'm trying to think of another who's another hot actor.
Hugh Jackman is the one that Wolverine photo where he looks so jacked but also like dehydrated. That's the one that I always go to. But I don't know.
But he has like assistants and people paying him, and like he's not having dinner with his family. He's like, I come home and we'll, sit around and have a separate planned thing that our assistants have put together for me to have time with Sutton Foster or whatever. Like, it's very challenging to do for a normal everyday person. And for me, like, as I'm trying to get in better shape, like going and buying protein powder always felt like that alone has been a step too far from me. Like, I'm like, when I look at the protein powder on the shelf, or like going to a special GNC, or like, as you said, Tucker, like having the hot protein powder, like doused in, warm water or whatever, I'm like, I want to look good, but I'm not ready to take that step until like, if I need to like be on TV or in a movie or something like that,
I will say that though I don't pay much attention to it now. I don't track my macros or anything now. I am pretty consistent when it comes to weightlifting. I do like having the ease of just drinking my protein powder while I'm doing like a weightlifting workout. Because I do think it's a knockout for me in terms of like energy and in terms of like keeping me going throughout. And there's probably a psychological thing too, where I'm like, oh, and I know this is not true. Like, I know this is not true. I know exactly what Adam is talking about with amino acids. That's how it actually works. But in the moment, the way it feels, it's I'm like, oh, I'm beating up these guys, and now I'm just going to pour my protein powder in, and it's going to come inside and it's going to do the thing. Like, it's just like, that's whatever it takes to get the training done.
No, I mean, that's not incorrect. I mean, that's where, protein powder is roughly the quickest way for it to get back into your bloodstream to do exactly what you're saying. Mm-hmm. So, how long that takes, that's maybe up for debate, but that is the fastest way to do it. Yeah.
So I've got a bit of the history of protein powder, but we don't need to get too deep into it. But we just did an episode about plastic bags and the plastics industry, and like, it seems like, and again, y'all are totally sold me on the protein powder, and I'm always been a little bit of a skeptic about it, but like, it is a offshoot of the dairy industry. Like, it started because they had like all this extra material to weigh when they were making cheese, and like they used to feed it to pigs, and then they're like, same thing with like plastic bags being like a byproduct of fossil fuel and gasoline production. And they got to figure out how do we make money from this. They kind of started doing that with a protein powder as well. Like, I know that they make protein powder out of more than just whey these days, but originally it kind of started out like that. And there was a little bit of shenanigans in the early days of protein powder. one of the original inventors of protein powder, like, was this bodybuilder, and it was basically just like soybean powder and chocolate like and cocoa, and he would just sell, like, he was a big weightlifter, and he's like, oh, this is what I use, and it was not at all what he used. So it's like a lot of hokum built into the industry.
Well, I think it's still, there's still a lot. I mean, that's the big thing with all protein powder and all supplements is almost none of this stuff is regulated at all. You know, like there's no, like you do. That's, and to harken back to what we were saying, what I was saying earlier about, like, you know, this kind of like tech bro kind of like optimization kind of, it's all bullshit, right? Because you get a bag of protein powder and it tells you that one serving is going to give you 37 grams of protein. And so you go, well, that's how many I need, X, Y, and Z. So you build your perfect day of food. But the reality is like, it's up to them whether or not this is 37 grams of protein or not. Who knows what's in there? Like, it's just like you can set up one, and over and over and over again for the past however long, we've had these lots of companies that get busted for being like, oh yeah, we're not doing it that way. We're cheaping out. Like, it's all, you know, I mean, most to the point now where like a lot of companies build their whole reputation around claiming that they're doing a better job of being regulated than anybody else. I mean, there's this one company called Momentous that I bought from before, and I see advertised in a lot of like healthier kind of spaces. And Momentous whole brand is built around the idea that they are telling the truth, that what they're selling you is been checked, and even though they don't have to be regulated, they're regulating themselves really well. Like that's the point that protein powder is at. Like none of this stuff is, I mean, who knows, man?
Yeah. Just really briefly touching on the history, like protein powder started in the 40s, 50s, and obviously big resurgence in the 70s, and then in the 80s with like
Schwarzenegger.
Like I remember like professional wrestling. Like I've been watching some professional wrestling documentaries lately, and you see like Jesse the Body Ventura and Hulk Hogan and like Ultimate Warrior, and these are like ripped dudes. I think that's more maybe an offshoot of the bodybuilding thing, but pumping iron obviously being a good example of that. That was kind of like the big resurgence. Like that's when GNC started kind of happening a lot more. It's been around for a while, but like these supplements started showing up in the way that we recognize them here in like 2025.
Yeah.
And
but they were using steroids.
Oh yeah, 100%. Very clearly.
But there's always been a incentive to draw attention away from the steroids into something else and say that that's the secret.
Yeah.
Which, you know, and I'm not saying like that it's necessarily completely wrong, because I think protein powder is legit. But yeah, anyway, that's why that.
One of my favorite little facts from this, MetRx, am I saying that, or is it Metrics?
MetRx.
And that's still around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that one got kicked off because a guy did, I don't know if it's a newsletter or like an article where he would review supplements, and he was secretly like a partner in the MetRx empire, and he gave an unbiased review of MetRx where he says, as a bodybuilder, this is easily the best like protein powder I've ever seen. And he did not disclose that he's like on the board or like a 50% shareholder of the company.
Yeah,
that's what really launched MetRx. So like when you're talking about the self-regulation of the protein powder and supplement industry, like I think that's a huge part of it. Like but I am inspired to hear that it works. Like the science is there. It's just you don't know what the fuck's in the bottle.
The
you don't know what the fuck's in the giant, humongous
Yeah.
bottle that's bigger than your head.
The science is there to some extent, and that's where the slippery thing. Like yes, it is there, but also you need to work out, and that's the real part. You know, yeah.
Well, there's also if you spend any amount of time on like on Reddit, and I'm not advising you to do that, but I'm just saying if you spend any amount of time on Reddit and bodybuilding things, it's like there's a huge portion of like classic bodybuilding guys are like, you don't need to do any of that stuff. You just drink chocolate milk. Chocolate milk is what you do. Like, there's no reason. All the benefits of drinking, drinking protein shakes can come from just drinking chocolate milk. To the point where there's a lot of times where I'm like, I don't really want to drink that much chocolate milk, but these guys, these old men sound really convincing.
Yeah, there's something really nice and old fashioned about that I love. Yeah.
Yeah. You ever heard? So that's you ever heard of Go Mad?
No.
Go Mad. The Go Mad diet. The Go Mad diet is the classic diet for like small town Texas high school football kids. Go Mad diet is gallon of milk a day. Go Mad diet.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Because they're not gonna have, they don't have a GNC in some like little funky Texas town where your dad works on an an oil rig or whatever, and you just got a regular you got a Piggly Wiggly or Winn-Dixie, but you can get a gallon of milk, and if you drink a gallon, if you want to put on weight, and you're a 16-year-old guy who's out there like and you're a quarterback or something like that for some high school team, and you want to put on weight, you go drink a gallon of milk a day. You're gonna have a tough time taking a dump, but you're gonna put on some weight.
I don't want to ask you, Tucker, for your you're not here to like endorse a protein powder, but like when you're thinking about protein powder, when you're in your full gains mode, like what are you looking for? Like, are you looking for plant? Are you looking for whey? And I want to get into the flavors as well. So like, what's your ideal protein powder situation?
I've never had a good time with plant protein. It's always just been a little too granular and a little too, that's just really, really tough to tolerate. I'm a whey protein guy for working out. And then I've done the thing, I don't think I would ever go back to it, but I've done the thing where it's like, you're going to take casein protein at night, because that's like slow digesting. So the idea being that you're like giving yourself protein while you're sleeping, which I think is probably bullshit, but it just strikes me as a way to sell another product. But casein protein is also very tasty. It's very, it basically is like, it's like making your own kind of weird ice cream and that kind of thing. But yeah, I'd say whey protein. Yeah.
All right. And Adam, have you done protein powder at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. So the one thing I'll say about complete protein, like there's a very slippery, whatever, wishy-washy thing in terms of what that means. But the reason why plant protein will often be something like pea protein plus rice is because those two individual things have strengths and deficits individually, but they counterbalance each other to give you roughly what whey gives you. But by many accounts, it's like maybe 90 something % of as complete as whey by some people. Yeah. So that's my understanding of it.
All right.
But yeah, I do it. I don't know. I put it in a smoothie or something.
Okay.
I haven't been workout guy in a while, so I'm recently, but yeah.
And what flavor? I mean, if you're putting it into a smoothie, do they sell unflavored protein? I've literally never bought protein powder.
They do sell unflavored protein powder, and some people get frustrated by how hard it is to find unflavored protein powder because like most of the time it's vanilla or chocolate or some version of that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And Tucker, what are you getting into flavor? One of like the standard milkshake flavors. What is that? Chocolate, vanilla, strawberry.
I'm a chocolate boy.
Okay.
I'm a chocolate boy. Yeah.
I'm very interested in this. We're in 2025. We are living in the time of like brand extensions and like flavor collaborations. Like I was looking up weird flavors of protein powder that you can get right now. I mean, yes, they still have the chocolate. I popped into the grocery store on the way in to record today, and like, I forget who it was, but somebody is doing the collabo with like Hershey's, specifically C4. Their chocolate is like specifically Hershey's branded. They have a Hawaiian Punch flavor as well.
Oh God, that's Hershey's, whatever. But Hawaiian Punch, that's pushing too far.
There's a C4 does a Reese's like peanut butter one.
That's Hershey's also though.
Yeah. I always assume, so I don't know if y'all have heard of Ghost Energy drink. I assume it's related to like Twitch guys. Is it not? Maybe I'm wrong about that.
I think that's
is it like FaZe Clan related? Yeah, I don't know the details.
I think that seems right. FaZe Clan, that seems right. I don't know.
They're starting to dabble in the protein market. So they have some like they have collaborations with like Cinnabon. You can get a Ghost Cinnabon or Chips Ahoy protein powder, which, I mean, if you're adding all this like cookie bullshit into it, is that defeating the point, or is it just for flavor? Like, I don't know. How do y'all feel about that?
I feel like protein powder has gotten almost completely decoupled from any sort of like health food usage in a lot of ways. And so I feel like that probably is part of its initial existence. I don't know if that came up in your research, but I feel like definitely like it's so tied into like getting big, getting jacked now. Like that's what it's, trying to sell itself on. And so having some kind of like dumbass flavor and stuff like that would appeal to like those who like dumbass flavors. I look at some of the things that people drink and I don't understand it at all. I don't understand. Like I don't get it. So I can't really look at protein powder and be like, oh, well, this one. No, I mean, I don't know. When you talk about like energy drinks and stuff, I'm like, I don't drink those at all. And so there isn't a way to like convince me to get on board, with them by making up new flavors. So I could see with the protein powder, make up some dumb new flavors. And maybe someday like me, I'll just get tired of chocolate. I don't think I will, but maybe one day I'll have some just be like, well, maybe today I should try the Chips Ahoy. I did like Chips Ahoy when I was a boy. I liked a Chips Ahoy cookie. So.
And then like, again, this is another 2025 thing. It really speaks to like what you're talking about with decoupling the idea from health, where it's not specifically protein powder, but they're starting to put protein into other like grocery store products. Like the two big ones, Protein Eggo and Protein Pop-Tarts are brand new to 2025. And like, that doesn't seem like a good thing to eat at all, ever, for any reason. And it's not going to help you work out unless maybe it does.
I think a lot of this comes down to kind of like weird health things, not weird health things, but just like traditional health things kind of worming their way into food marketing. I mean, I remember years and years ago reading an article about how the gluten-free thing was so fantastic for processed food manufacturers, for like chip and cookie manufacturers, because they had really kind of reached like a plateau with their business in terms of like, how do you get people to buy wheat thins and how do you get people to buy because it's all the same. Nabisco and all those guys are kind of making all the same stuff. And there really wasn't a way to kind of like scale their business. And because of the nature of like the way capitalism functions right now with all these different investors in your company and that sort of thing, like you're expected to have this consistent growth that just isn't possible because people only buy a certain amount of wheat thins. Like they're just not going to change. And there's not going to be more people to buy wheat thins in the kind of numbers you need them to be.
Yeah. For my household, it's 0 wheat thins.
Yeah. So for them, when gluten-free came along, it basically was a whole new category of food and a whole new category of marketing exercise and a whole new category of sales systems that comes in. They're like, all of a sudden they have, and it's still a kind of a fabricated product increase, but it did exist and it was something that they could do. And so the protein thing is something that like what do they tell elderly people that they need to do? They need to make sure that they're getting protein because it's good for their hips. The main thing that happens to older people is they start to fall down, they lose their balance, they break their hip and that kind of thing. One thing that helps with bone density is strength training. The other thing that helps with bone density is protein. Protein intake is one of the best things you can do for your skeletal system in terms of as you're aging, because that stuff starts to deplete over time. And so I don't really think that at the end of the day that means that your grandmother needs to have a protein shake, but it does. Your grandmother does need to get protein. She needs to not just eat oatmeal in the morning and then toast in the afternoon and, tuna casserole. She needs to get some protein in. So they start pumping protein into like the shit that your grandma eats. And I think that really is just a marketing thing. I don't know. Is it unhealthy? I don't know. I mean, Eggo waffles
is unhealthy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unhealthy.
Yeah. Frozen waffles are not necessarily a healthy food anyway. So putting some chemicals in there to increase their protein intake is probably not making them worse, I
don't know. Just if my grandma needs more protein, I'll drop a steak off at her house. I'll just sizzle it up and shove it on the plate. And
I think she would be very grateful for that. She'd probably love to see you.
Any final thoughts on protein powder, Adam or Tucker? Like, where are we landing? You guys have convinced me on protein powder a little bit. I'm like, I'm not gonna get the protein powder. I don't want to be the guy sitting on the couch like chugging down the protein shake or whatever. But like, I'm a little bit more convinced.
Well, okay. One thing I just want to say is that the science of all of this is like really up for grabs in a lot of ways. I mean, there's some basic core truths that like we all need protein. And if you're working out and you need to repair a bunch of stuff, like you absolutely need protein. But like there are studies that say this and there's studies that say the reverse, and some get really promoted. And so I just like take it all with some amount of grain of salt that we are in a protein trend right now.
How about a grain of MetRx?
Yeah, a grain of MetRx. And I don't know, do what makes the most sense for you, and do your own research, I guess, is probably what I'll say. Yeah.
Tucker, any final thoughts on protein powder that you want to share?
I mean, I don't know. No, I don't think I have anything really big to say. I mean, I do think that it's funny that like what you just said there is an encapsulation of that kind of what I would call that like kind of meathead podcast. Not that you guys ever meet it, but that's like the do your own research. Oh, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying don't get vaccinated. I'm just saying do your own research. You know, I'm just saying maybe the stuff that they give horses is pretty good. You know, maybe we should just all do it. I do think that the fact, I would say that the thing that often drives me crazy about fitness stuff is how so many of these things that have been available to all of us for so long, for thousands of years, that exist to make people feel regular and good, have almost been taken by this certain type of personality in the last however many decades. But like working out does not have to be, and doing things that are good for your body, like trying to figure out what kind of foods you should eat. Like these are not things that have to be tied into body dysmorphia. They don't have to be tied into like self-loathing. They don't have to be tied into being a stupid asshole who talks about cancel culture or whatever. Like they could just be things that make your life better. And it does. There's times when I'm like in this world, because I've been to some of these places. Like I've been out to, like you talk about Henry Cavill. Like I actually went out to Utah and I trained at a place called Jim Jones. Jim Jones is where they trained the 300 guys. It's where they trained Henry Cavill for Man of Steel. And I sat in rooms with these guys, with, military guys, listen to them say insane shit. It's very dumb. And it just kind of was like one of those things where I was like, how did we get to this place where the simple act of like trying to take care of yourself has turned into this, like whatever this is, So I don't know how far down the road of like hokum I might have bought into with something like protein powder. So I try to keep myself kind of plugged into the reality of like, this is probably all bullshit. And maybe that's what'll keep me okay. As long as like you're willing to like laugh at yourself and be like, maybe this is just one of the areas of being a sucker where I'm a total sucker,
Yeah. And I love to be a sucker at a lot of areas as well. Like I know that I'm not on the protein powder train, but like I got my own stupid shit that I love to get into as well.
Right. Sure. So, yeah. But I mean, that's kind of to me, that's the central thing is like, if there is a little truth to it, they exploit it to the nth degree. If it is 0.05% better to do this thing, like they're going to say, if you don't do it, you will not be able to work out in the way you want. And that's kind of the industry that we're in.
And also this thing it has Chip Ahoy variety as well.
Yeah.
I think that's going to do it. Tucker, I know you're not really podcasting that much anymore, but anything you want to promote while you're on here?
No, it was great to be. It's fun to talk to you guys.
Really fun. Much. Thank you so much for joining us. Tucker Stone, check him out if you see him around. And I'm Jef Harmatz with Adam Fligsten. This has been Clean Up on Aisle Podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.